Hello, welcome to the Visible Audit, where we pick an industry and a location at random. Then we run a search on Google, find the right key phrase that business owners should be targeting. Then we find a site ranked on page 2, and we break down real enhancements that they can make to improve page 1 visibility and convert more of the traffic they already get into qualified leads and new customers. The goal of this channel is to help business owners understand visibility leaks and how their competitors are stealing their customers before the conversation even begins. I hope this provides value and insights into what you can do on your website to increase conversions and to have better visibility over your competitors. And if you'd like me to review your website and give you a full visibility breakdown of what you need to do to improve ROI momentum, see the link in the description down below for a free website monetization review. All right, let's get started. We're going to choose an industry at random. Architect. Okay. Now we're going to choose one of the 50 states and see where we're going to go. Florida. Okay. Let's go to Google. So we're going to type out Architect Florida to get started. But I use a tool that you can apply to Chrome called Keywords Everywhere. And it'll tell you down here what the best key phrases are to get the most traffic that wants to convert. And we look for buyer intent. Someone typing, Architect Florida might just be looking for reviews. They might look for, comparisons. They might just be looking for information. So we want to go after people that actually have an intent to take action, and those people that are online searching with an intent to take action, they either go real hyper local by targeting a city within, Florida, or they type out 3 or more words with Florida in it. So for this, we'll type, Florida registered architects, because that's someone who is actively looking for a registered architect in Florida. So we're going to click on Florida registered architects. Okay. And we can see that it gets 260 volume a month, 260 searches a month, and there's others that are paying $3.61 a click. No one would pay for clicks unless they're getting traffic to their websites, and the traffic that they get actually converts. So now instead of going on page 1, we're going to go to page 2 because everyone on page 2 wishes they were on page 1. All right, right here. Let's do Florida architects, okay? So the first thing that Florida architects needs to do if they want to improve their page 1 visibility is put, instead of Florida architects home, they need to make it say Florida registered architects, then maybe a wall symbol or a hyphen, and then put Florida architects, and then put serving, put another hyphen and put serving Florida, USA. So the whole thing is filled out. But something like that would immediately signal to Google that these guys are wanting to be positioned in front of the people that type out this phrase, and likely they will get to page 1 because they're at the top of page 2. Now let's look at their website and see how they might be leaking customers to their competitors without even knowing it. Okay, so this is their homepage. And I'm not going to go through every single page of their website, but we can start off with just the home page. Now, I really love these colors because blue is the #1 symbolization of trust on the web. I mean, if you go to Facebook cold and you've never signed up, it's blue, right? Blue at the top, clear background and stuff. And that really symbolizes trust. It builds instant trust. So right off the bat, I want to commend this site, floridaarchitects.com, for having a home tab and having a blue kind of, starter phase. But one thing I want to mention is where a lot of people make a mistake is their header is, a constant scroll, meaning it changes images, it changes, scenery and stuff. And you never want to have that, because we want to guide users to taking immediate action. And if they get lost in looking at your images, after they get their dopamine, they usually just hit the back button and go find a competitor. Secondly, this middle space right here is the most valuable piece of real estate. Also, when people get to a website, they read it from left to right. They never go right to left. So all they'd have to do here is put this sustainable design, visual appeal, and energy efficiency on the left side or in the middle, in the top. And they should include their primary key phrase. So they should say, something like, looking for Florida registered architects to help you with sustainable design, visual appeal, and energy efficiency? ? That would immediately signal to Google that they're relevant to the primary key phrase in their market where the buyers are. And a person looking for a Florida registered architect would read that and say, yes, and they'd start to lean in. That would make a person scroll down. Then right when they scroll down, they shouldn't have any info about our company. No one cares about you. They care about themselves. So I would immediately have a button, that says, get started now, and has a little summary of when they go to the next page, they can fill out a form for a callback to discuss their project. Whether they're a contractor or a homeowner or a realtor, whatever it is, they can request a callback. Then I would have a portfolio, before and after examples, or, images of drawings they've done. I would put the Our Company info off of the homepage onto the About page. If there's already an About page, let's just check it out. Okay, so there's already an About page and already has our company info on it. So this is redundant to have it on the homepage. Okay, remember, if you look at a Google Analytics report, the number one most traffic site or the number one most traffic page on a website is the homepage, because people come into your website from all sorts of pages: your blog, your news and video, your portfolio, your about. They come in through different pages. And when they get ready to take action, they always go back to the homepage to take action. Okay? So the homepage needs to be a static image. It needs to have the headline at the top. It needs to have a button down here for people to get started. And then it needs to show, a portfolio of images that people can click on to see their work. Okay. And then it can go into design approach down below, which could include the primary key phrase like Florida registered architects approach design, or I would say our Florida registered architects approach to design is to treat each project with respect, etc. So then you move down into that. Okay. And then you could talk about our Florida registered architects specialize in project management. Right. So these sub headlines also need to include the key phrase, and they need to continue to appeal to the person on their website. Okay. Now, if I hover over their image right here, notice that nothing happens. Let's just right click it. Oh, I can't even right click it. So this is an issue. We would need to, go into the back end of their site, and we would need to add an alt tag. Because when Google crawls the page, they just see a blank space on the right, and they assume that you're working on the website and it's not finished. That's why they're not giving them top placements. But if we were to add an alt tag that said Florida registered architects, that's it, even just that would immediately signal to Google that they have content on the left and they have their key phrase on the right, and that is all they need in order to decide better placements. The last thing I would mention on the homepage here is, everything else looks fine. It actually is a very clean site. But the only other thing I would mention is anywhere where there's a button like view our portfolio, no one cares about that. No one wants to, no one cares about you. When they're on the internet, the 3% of the market is actively searching to take action. They want to know what's in it for them. Okay. So I would change this to see what your project could look like, or, get ideas for your next project. That's probably the better one. Get ideas for your next project instead of view our portfolio. Okay, and then also the number one most clicked button on the internet is the GoDaddy checkout button, which is orange background with white writing. So if they were to change it to orange background with white writing and put see what your project could look like or get ideas for your next project, I guarantee that button would get clicked a lot more. Okay, so that's the end of this initial audit just off their homepage. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what you can do on your website if you are an architect in the Florida area, or if you're just an architect in general watching this video. That'll give you some ideas. Again, if you want me to review your website and give you an in-depth experience about your page one visibility and how to convert more of the traffic you already get into qualified leads so that your competitors stop stealing your customers before the conversation even begins, see the link in the description down below for a free website monetization review. Cheers.